Good morning. Thank you for joining us. We are cooking, and by that I mean we are coming together, we are cooking, but we're also cooking on this weight loss journey. I love each and every one of you that showed up for yourself this morning to learn a couple of new recipes to stay healthy and maintain longevity with our protein only diet. So today I wanted to do a little bit of a talk about proteins and then when high protein diets can sometimes lead to a change in our labs because this time of year, many of us are going for our annual exam. We get labs done, and then we will often see a rise in our creatinine level. Let's break down what creatinine is. So, creatinine is a waste product from muscles. It is the waste version of creatine, which is the body's and muscles' energy source. So we make our own creatine in our liver, and our kidneys, and then our muscles use it for energy because it breaks down into something called ATP, and that gives our muscles the energy to do all of the things, contract, flex, and things like that. Once the muscle has used it, we have done our thing. We have gotten through the day. We've gone for a run. We have just simply sat and stretched our legs. We have urinated, heartbeat, all of the things. Our kidneys say, "Okay, it's time for me to do my job, get rid of that waste being creatinine." Now, one of the things that again is checked at our annual physical is a urine exam. And sometimes that urine can show a higher than the normal range of creatinine. Know that there is a different normal range for both men and women, and even within that range, it varies a little bit by our height and age. But of course, a lab is only going to give you just this narrow value range. Now, oftentimes a rise in our creatinine is actually okay. We get freaked out because we see the word abnormal. Some doctors may even get worried because, again, it flags as out of the range. But there are several reasons why you can have a normal elevated creatinine. The first one being, again, it is a byproduct of the basically after our muscles eat. It makes this as waste. So the more muscle you have, the higher your creatinine level ends up going. So it ends up moving higher on the normal end, and then eventually it can go and tip over. So as we are eating our high protein diets, we are now exercising maybe, and we weren't before. We are doing strength training. We're just kind of making ourselves anew. We are building more muscle mass, which means we are going to have more waste. It's kind of like the difference between having that Chihuahua and then that Rottweiler. Like their waist looks different, right? Another reason and common reason that we can have an elevated creatinine level, unfortunately, is dehydration. So that actually comes quite often in patients taking medicine, right? We sometimes lose our appetite, and with that, we sometimes will then lose our drive, desire, or just remember that we also need to be making sure we're drinking plenty of water. So that can give us a false or temporary elevation and absolutely nothing to worry about. Now, here are a couple of things that we do want to look for because these could be signs of a reason to go and see a doctor. One, if we have any symptoms of our kidney not functioning properly in addition to the high creatinine, and that might look like swelling, bloating, inflammation, especially in our lower limbs, so legs, feet, shoes not fitting the way that they used to, fingers and a ring, all of a sudden getting tight. That could be a sign of water retention, which is a sign that our kidneys are not doing well, and then therefore that rise in a creatinine level is a dangerous one. Another one is a rapid rise. So this normal range might be something like zero point 0.7 to 1.2. And so if you're seeing all of a sudden from last year you were at zero point 0.8, now you're at zero point 0.9 or 1.0, that is fine. If you were at 1.1 and now you're at 1.2, also okay. But if last year we were at zero point 0.7 and now we're at 1.3, that could be a little bit more alarming. Again, that would be a reason I would ask to a referral to see a specialist. And then lastly, know that there are some medications that also can rise and elevate our creatinine levels. So some of our high blood pressure medications, specifically ACE inhibitors, can do that, and then as well as NSAIDs. So if we're taking like an ibuprofen regularly, naproxen, especially higher doses to deal with some chronic pain, that can also lead to an normal elevation of our creatinine levels. Now, when you get this lab, the first thing you want to do again is look at last year's and our rate of rise. If it's elevated, you also want to look at something like that is called your GFR, your glomerular filtration rate. This is also a measure of our kidneys filtration rate. So the two need to be both off at the same time to even kind of raise a red flag. If we have a slightly elevated creatinine but a normal GFR, we are all good. Again, if we have an elevation in both, or one is both are outside of the normal range, that could raise a concern. And then you want to work backwards. Have I been working out more? Am I yoked up all of a sudden, right? Did I not drink that morning? Because many of us will go and get fasting labs, not knowing that fasting means food, but you can still actually drink water. And so, therefore, we don't want to go into taking labs dehydrated. I hope this was helpful. I hope this helps to give a bigger picture of how our body functions, how our body uses proteins, why it's important. In a nutshell, protein still is our body's energy source, specifically our muscles, but wanting to kind of give a little bit of a background of what you may expect to see with that energy use source and then what it does with the waste. All right, let's jump into this recipe. It sounds amazing. I'm going to hand it over to Chef Liam and let's get into it.